The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
On the first day of the week, Mary of Magdala came to the tomb early in the morning while it was still dark. She saw the stone removed from the tomb. So she ran and went to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved and told them, "They have taken the Lord from the tomb, and we do not know where they put him." So Peter and the other disciple went out and came to the tomb. They both ran, but the other disciple ran faster than Peter and arrived at the tomb first. He bent down and saw the burial cloths there, but did not go in. When Simon Peter arrived after him, he went into the tomb and saw the burial cloths there, and the cloth that had covered his head, not with the burial cloths, but rolled up in a separate place. Then the other disciple also went in, the one who had arrived at the tomb first, and he saw and believed. For they did not yet understand the scripture that he had to rise from the dead. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
5 or 6 years ago, I had the opportunity to go to the Holy Land during Holy Week and kind of participate in these different realities on the ground itself. So it's pretty special. And I mean, one thing we did is the Holy Sepulchre is the church built over the place where Jesus was both crucified and then where he was buried, the tomb that he was laid in and rose from the dead. It's kind of real close by, and it's actually under one church. And we stayed the night there on Good Friday night. That was pretty wild. But really, of all those 2 weeks that I traveled around there, probably the sight that stands out the most was this little exhibit we saw on the Shroud of Turin, like the burial cloth of Jesus. Right? This thing's still around. We didn't see it itself, but we saw this exhibit that really portrayed all the depth of that thing. And maybe you've seen it. It's actually about a 12-foot tall cloth that went over the front of a man and behind him, and it has the imprint of a human figure on it. And at first glance, you think, okay, that's just like the imprint of the blood that was on the cloth. But, I mean, when you really think about it, that would just be a blotch if that was the case. But the shroud is actually an image of something crazy that happened. Basically like the resurrection. The only thing that explains to this super burst of light that went through this cloth and left an imprint on it. Like so the Shroud of Turin, it's not a proof of someone who died. It's a proof of someone who rose from the dead. Okay, that's just mind-blowing when you really kind of read this, the Gospels. Like today's Gospel, the burial cloth plays a pretty significant role, right? So first Mary Magdalene, she goes to the tomb. She sees the stone rolled away, and she just thinks that they took the body of Jesus, right? So she's all worried. She went and got Peter and John. They come back. So they go in, and they see the burial cloths. And they don't think, what'd they do? Where'd they take the Lord? Immediately they think, whoa, this dude rose from the dead. Because they saw the Shroud of Turin, I'm just saying. They saw the burial cloths. It had this image on it of a man who passed through it. And they were like, he rose from the dead. Anyway, it's proof of the resurrection. That's what I'm getting at. The Shroud of Turin, the burial cloths today, they're proof of the resurrection, that Jesus rose from the dead. So we're celebrating today, right? Easter. And I guess the message of Easter, the message of the shroud, whatever, is all that through death comes life. Through death comes life. That's just how it works, right? The secret to living is dying. Okay? The sooner we get that right, the happier we're going to be. So this is not something new. Look at nature, right? Things die in the winter, and in the spring, if it ever shows up, will come to life, right? This is how it works. This is how nature works. Jesus turns it into something supernatural, right? That when he dies, he rises and lives forever. right? And we participate in that reality in many ways. The first objective way that we do is through our baptism, okay? Like last night, we baptized 12 people at the big church in Gillette. 12 people, adults and youngsters to varying degrees. We all here, I'm sure all of us have been baptized. Probably don't remember it. But the reality that we died and rose is real. Then it's a life of faith that helps us to unlock that grace and live in it. Okay, so there's one objective, death and resurrection. Another one is our vocation. So that's another opportunity for us to die to ourselves and live for another. Okay, I know when I was ordained a priest, we actually laid prostrate on the ground there as a symbol of us dying, laying down our lives, and then we rose in the these are different degrees, but the image of rising to life was then at the ordination. So same with marriage couples. Y'all probably can testify to the dying to self that is involved in marriage. Okay, that happens when you say I do, and it happens the rest of your life too. Okay, this is real, and the more we kind of get this rhythm of life, the more we'll stay in the saddle. We'll be free, instead of just craziness. No, we're already dead. We're already alive too. We're already risen. Okay, and then there's many opportunities for us to kind of do this death and resurrection thing all throughout our life. The basic mode is surrender. Right? We surrender to God, and He takes the will. We surrender to His will. It's a beautiful example. One great opportunity, not only today, but at every Mass we celebrate. This is a death and resurrection that goes on. When we process up with the gifts, those little gifts are images of y'all, okay? Like you are processing up, putting yourself on the altar, going to be crucified with Jesus, but also raised, okay? That's the program. Faith is what unlocks that secret. So don't miss this opportunity today, but the opportunity every Sunday, every Mass we celebrate, is not only a dying to a self, but a rising to new life with Christ. This is the secret to life, pretty convinced, that through death comes life. Jesus models it today for Easter, but He also shows us how to do it all throughout life. I think the basic word to hang on to is surrender. Lord, help me surrender myself to You, my will to You, in order that I may live for You.